Thank you for, I've seen some of you in every session today. From 8:30 and here we are still at 4:15 and you're still attending seminars. That's the dedicated crew. And I've only seen some of you sleep through mine, so that's good. Those of you, I see only a couple faces I don't recognize. That's awesome. I'm Kelly Bednar. I'm the Director of Education for the BPA, and it's my privilege to introduce our next speaker. And bear with me. I tried to minimize this, but when you've got such an accomplished speaker as we do here, I've got to give you this background. It's fabulous. Dr. Fjelstul is an associate professor at the Rosen UCF. Rosen, that's a little hot. Can you turn that down for me, please? Thanks.
What?
Is a professor at the Rosen College of Hospitality, right next door. You can walk. Did you walk over, Jill? Or did you drive over? It's not that hot outside, so maybe she walked over. I don't know. She began her tenure at the University of Central Florida 18 years ago and was the head women's golf coach. And that will be very poignant information. She joined the faculty in 2005, completing her doctorate in curriculum and instruction from the UCF College of Education in 2006. Her research interests are aligned with the golf and private club management, online education, and the RV industry. These are all industries that are similar to ours, and it's our privilege to have her here. Her extensive background in developing successful programs, both academically and industry-based, at the Rosen College, she successfully defended a Bachelor of Science degree program in golf and club management. And we've oftentimes in the industry have been compared to the golf industry. And when you hear what she has to tell us about the pains that they've gone through, it's very, very poignant. She also designed and implemented the first online education courses for the LPGA teaching and club professionals, the division of the LPGA. With grant monies received from her UCF Tony Jennings Special Initiative Award, she created and conducted 2 unique golf academies for the exceptional population. And special spot for me on that one. Jill is an author and speaker in the golf, private club, and RV industry. In fact, the latter is just around the corner. She is headed out next week on a 6-week trip to Yellowstone National Park. Lastly, and most importantly, Jill has a big heart for the bowling industry, but she wants to be the one to share her connection. Please welcome Dr. Jill Fjelstul.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay back there? All right. For those of you that maybe snuck by me, I've got some yellow cheat sheets. I'm a professor. I work with college students for many, many years. Let's go ahead and, if you could pass a few back, please. It'll make the next hour and a half, yeah, there we go, go a little bit smoother. How are we doing? All right, very good. Well, before I get started, I first want to say thank you. Thank you for including me in your program. It's a pleasure to follow a colleague of mine. As small as our College of Hospitality Management is, as far as the campus goes, Cynthia and I hardly ever cross paths. So it's great to have a convention like this bring us together. And so it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of your organization. And by the agenda, it looks like I'm in tremendous company. So for the next hour and a half, try to speed it up a little bit because I know you've had a long day. We're going to be talking from a variety of angles. And I think that with Cynthia's final words talking about the customer, talking about the employee, that's a great segue into my presentation today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. My connection to the Bowl Expo, interesting enough, about a year ago, the dean received an email from Kelly and asked if I could return the email. And instead of returning an email, I made the phone call. And right then and there, after that connection, I realized that this is a unique organization with a leader such as Kelly. It seemed like just a wonderful connection. And as I listened, what we were trying to do is we were trying to have some of you come on over to our campus so that we could do some seminars over there, but it just did not work. And so I excused myself from the process, but then as circumstances happened, we met on campus, and the next thing you know, I really wanted to be a part of this. So I'm hoping that my talk today will resonate, and you can bring back just a little piece of it as you go forward. So it was fun, and I really believe in meeting people in person. I also believe in picking up that phone call. I think technology sometimes takes the impersonal to the next level, and I think that because we're in a people business, whether you're talking bowling, golf, hotels, we're still in the people business. We're still in the people business. Whether we're talking about customers, whether we're talking about members, whether we're talking about employees or staff. And so as we go along, I'm going to jump around a little bit, but hopefully again that you'll take a little piece of this with you. A few things that I'm going to talk about. My story. I truly believe that it's important to establish connections by really understanding where a person's coming from. And I do this with my students, and I think that it's very easy to keep a line drawn between professionalism, professor-student. You can still get to have people get to know you. I'm going to have a little riding cargo story for you. Not sure if anybody would be able to preview what I'm going to be talking about. And then, of course, my connection to bowling. But my story first. Born and raised in Iowa. Any Iowans? Yes. All right. Born and raised in Iowa, 2.5 hours south of the Metrodome, the Minnesota Vikings Stadium. Anybody from Minnesota here? How about Wisconsin? Good. Illinois? Oh, okay. Michigan? All right. So we've got the Vikings, Bears, Packers, and Lions covered here. So all the other ones, they're my team. But those, the Vikings, that NFC North division is kind of fun to mess around with. Growing up 2.5 hours south of the Metrodome, the Vikings became part of me. We had season tickets for 32 years. So I bring in my football connection. I bring in a little bit of purple into my daily lives. And again, it's just my way for people to get to know me. There's got to be some connection with something. As far as presently, I've been at UCF for 18 years. I was at the University of Northern Iowa as an undergraduate and master's student, and they finally had enough of me. And so I moved south and joined the University of Central Florida 18 years ago without any idea that 18 years will have passed. And I started as the women's golf coach and finished then my doctorate and moved over to the Rosen College of Hospitality Management, which, as those of you that were here in the earlier presentation, we literally are 2 drivers away from Rosen College. We have 3 degrees: the restaurant management degree, general hospitality degree, and event management degree. I actually wrote the 4th degree. March 18th, 2008, it was passed in front of our Board of Trustees, and we all know what happened around the 2008-2009 era. It hit the education world as well. We put it on the shelf. We haven't lifted it out of hiding, but it will be our 4th degree should we decide to pursue that. I teach in the private club management industry. I teach golf events, golf management. The direction I go in my classes is the golf industry has changed a lot. And although I have been a bowler in the past, It's not a primary activity of mine on the side, but my guess is, like all other industries, the recession impacted the bowling industry, as it did with golf, as it did with the private club industry. And there's different things that have had to happen to start to turn the tide and build it back up to possibly a new normal. And that's it is what it is. But the important thing is to remember that we're still dealing with people. We're dealing with golfers, bowlers, hotel guests, tourists. The products may change. People don't. And we really have to understand our business. And I think that we can learn a lot from other businesses. And that's going to be the center of my talk. As far as my future, well, I'm hoping I stay at UCF. You just never know. I received tenure a few years ago, and I plan on being there. But that's a little bit of my background, and as we go along, you'll be able to see a little bit more. These are my two companions that are going to be going out to Yellowstone. And I share some of these pictures because I want to have you get to know me. This is an example of what I do in my classes. I want different parts of me to be let out so that there may be some type of connection that we have as we go through some type of conversation. So Gizmo and Tucker, they will be heading on my 6,000-mile trip next week. I actually stuck around just for this convention. And there's a phone going off in there. I also had a big birthday not too long ago. Has anybody ever gone jetpacking? That's me, about a month ago. It was a big birthday. I jumped out of an airplane on my 25th birthday, and a few years later did it again. And I promised my mom I wouldn't do it for this one. She about had a heart attack. So went to Naples and did a little jet packing. So that's about 20 feet up in the air. So I don't know why I was in fear of stalling since I had jumped out of a perfectly good airplane at 13,000. But I was a little fearful about going up to the max height of 30 feet. So getting into the stories. Riding cargo. I think we can learn from other industries, and this is all about service and hospitality. It'll be 5 years that my dad passed away at 4 a.m. We received that phone call that no family wants to receive, but that's just unfortunately the part of life. And what was unique about ours, and I think that everybody has a story with this, is that my dad was a third-generation mortician, third-generation funeral director, my brother being the fourth. And I could have been a fourth-generation mortician as well, but I cry all the time, so I wouldn't be too good for the family business. But what was unique about our situation is that we knew his health was failing, but we couldn't get him home. He died in Florida. The one thing when you are a funeral director family, when you have a family member or close friend die, of course you want your family to take care of all the preparations. It was not going to be the case for our family. He was 1,500 miles away. So we called a local funeral home and we made arrangements to get Dad home. And so they did everything that a family could ever expect. For me, I loaded up the motorhome. I drove the 1,500 miles away because I needed my animals with me during that time. And I also knew that I could stay a little bit longer. What was incredible, 5 years later, I can still remember. The funeral director called my brother and asked if Dad arrived home okay. That was pretty incredible, because his service was done when he brought my dad to the Fort Myers airport to ride cargo. We don't want to go down that path too much because it gets, thinking about him riding cargo. The message here is this: picking up that phone call, making sure that Roger got home okay. That's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. He did his service in Fort Myers. Very important. I think we can learn. We can learn from what other industries do. And that's where we're going to go today. So delivering extreme service. I think that funeral director did an extreme service to our family at that time of need where everybody's vulnerable. But in going with the Bowl Expo's extreme theme, how can we deliver extreme service to our customers, to our league members, to our dailies, to our corporate outings, to our groups? I believe it's all about the culture that you have in your workplace. Your customers, your league members, they're going to know the culture as soon as they walk in. Professional. Are your people professional? Have they been mentored to your standards? Everybody has their own set of standards. Are they happy? Are they happy to be at work? You know when they're not happy. Do you want that type of personality serving your customers? It's all about the experience that they're going to have. Are they excited to come to work? So I believe it's all about setting standards. And everybody has their own. I put together a list of 7. It just so happened there's an odd number, trying to go with the theme of the Bowl Expo, but I got that purple up on top. I needed to pick a color that stood out. So being myself, we're going to go through these, some very quickly, some a little bit more extensively. Not that any one is more powerful than the other. But I believe that regardless of the position you're in, whether you're an owner, senior leader, entry-level manager, whether you're a staff member, first-time employee, leading people by actions. You want people to lead by actions so that when the customers come in, they know they're going to be taken care of. I had to open up a little bit, even though I am pretty much of an open book. But in the classroom, I've been in higher education for a long time. But I wasn't quite connecting because I thought that there had to be that almost that hierarchy, drawing the line. And I found that I can draw the line, but also build positive energy. And instead of putting up this barrier, if I can welcome them and get them going in the classroom, I have found that I've been having more positive results. And it actually all started with a kindergartner, believe it or not. And that kindergartner was my nephew Jay. And 5 years ago, I was on the phone with Jay, and it was in, I believe it was October, closer to the November time. I called him up and I said, "What do you want for Christmas?" And he said, "Anything Green Bay Packers." And I said, "What did you say?" And he said, "Anything Green Bay Packers." And I said, "Put your dad on the phone." So I got on the phone with my brother and I said, "What is going on?" And he said, "You know Judy Moen." And of course, being from a small Iowa town, generations after generations, I bolted. I knew Judy, big Packers fan, kindergarten teacher. Every time the Packers won on Sunday, the kindergartners got an extra recess on Monday. I thought, okay, we can do this at the college level if we do it at the kindergarten level. So I started bringing in some of this fun, and I realized some positive energy was occurring. So every time the Vikings won, we got out a little early on Monday. Every time they lost, depending on how bad it was, we may or may not get out early. Then I added to it, every time they won, I wore purple on Monday. Every time they lost, I wore black. I had a colleague of mine a few years ago said, "Boy, you're going to a lot of funerals, aren't you?" And I thought, boy, that's how I feel. But this is a way for me to connect whether you're in education or you're in a bowling center or on a golf course or in a private club, connecting with people, letting them in just a little bit, but remaining professional. It was a positive start to our day, my day. Energy and productivity was there. And to this day, I still talk about that during the off season. I start every class period, what's good to talk about? Because I want that positive energy to flow around me. I want to help them understand they're going to be more productive with their task at hand. It just so happens it's an educational environment, but I believe it can transfer into your work environment too. You want them to have positive energy. Life is difficult right now with a lot of people. There's a lot of struggles out there. There's a lot of fears and concerns. And it is our job as a leader to see if we can build that energy up in a positive way. And they're going to be working with our customers and delivering the service, so I think it's very important to do so. Another standard of mine, being on time. Time is big. I know as a golfer, if I'm late, I probably have missed my tee time. If I'm a golfer and the golf course is late, I may have taken off work to go play golf, and that affects me. I may have left my kids at home with a babysitter, and now it's going to be extended because I want to play golf. Everybody is involved and affected by time. And as I struggle with my students every day about being on time, my class is always starting on time, and depending on what the Vikings do, they will get out on time or at least a little early. But the old saying of if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're looking for another job. And that's how I would run my business. Because I don't want my workers to be peeling into the parking lot on two wheels. Because we all know when we're late what happens. Things just happen. And we don't look together. Our customers are going to know that. And I want our people, my people, to look together and be prepared. And as Cynthia said, that food has to be ready half hour in advance. Everything has to fit together and work as a team. Respect. A standard. Yeah, I was born and raised in an environment, and I know all of us in this room have the same experiences. We were raised to respect other people, and I still do. I'm under the belief that you earn somebody's respect. You're not entitled to that. We have to remember, regardless of the business we're in, that our customers chose us. Our customers chose us to spend their time in our bowling center, on the golf course, in the private club. You earn the respect and loyalty. We struggle with this. There was a survey out not too long ago, undergraduates. The two buzzwords out there was respect and entitlement. We struggle with that, this young generation. We can learn a lot from them. But one thing that depending on the business, but I really don't think it's that big a deal. I think every business, respect is so important. A dollar is a dollar, and boy, sometimes it's hard to come by. Our customers chose us, and we need to respect that and do all we can to deliver an experience for them, make memories, have them come back. It's a lot easier having repeat customers, as we know. Communication. There's all sorts of types of communications. We're going to get into that a little bit today. Communication. There's studies out there, over 80%, actually it's about 88% of our core potential in our effectiveness of our communications and interactions. 80% of our core potential in our profession deals with our effectiveness of communications and interactions. That's high. 80%, we need to know how to communicate. We need to understand what our communications mean and how they're perceived and received. And communications in all different forms. This is professionally, teamwork, personally, the whole gamut. Communications, key. Service and experience creations. From the time that we make our first contact with our customers, our members, from the greetings to goodbyes, we are creating an experience. They will develop perceptions of us before they even walk through our doors. Whether it be a bowling center, whether it be a golf course or a private club or any of the other industries out there. From the greetings on the phone, possibly an email. It makes no difference. Communications are communications. From greetings to goodbyes. We have to be able to handle these even through challenges. There's my connection to bowling. Now this is dated. I've got an updated picture later. This is John Michael. John Michael is my nephew. He's been a part of Special Olympics as long as the school system has allowed them to come in. This was not staged. I had flown up to see John Michael bowl in his first, one of the first Special Olympics he was in. And to not paint any other picture except for the fact was there was a huge delay. He picked up the phone to see if he could get this thing rolling. I had the camera. I thought, I have got to get this on film. And it was just hilarious. But we know, no matter what we do with our preparation, we still are going to have our challenges. And how do we handle, how do we get through those challenges? And we'll talk about that in a little while. So our first communications, the bar is set. I knew as soon as I spoke on the phone with Kelly that this was an incredible organization, very passionate about the industry, about training. But the first communications, the bar is set. In the club industry, and I'm sure all industries have their own, but we talk about the moments of truth. Regardless of what that communication is, people are going to grade us, compare us, have perceptions of how on top of things we are. Do we want to do business with them? Phone calls, in-person marketing materials. Know what you're saying you're going to deliver. Very, very important. Who's answering the phone? Who's making the phone calls? I believe in in-person contacts when possible. Of course, it's not always possible. We know that. But I think it's important as much as we can to do in-person stuff. The staff needs to be informed. They need to know who's arriving today. Is there a big group? Are there 3 groups meeting simultaneously based on what your facility is? Do we have a big bowling group? Do we have a big food and beverage group? Big family center or arcade group, whatever it is. Maybe there's an outdoor facility, a little racetrack area. Who's coming? We don't want to have that deer in the headlight look. It's a neat feeling when you arrive and you know that they knew you were coming. Of course you're on the books, but how informed are they? So building strong relationships throughout. I believe a person's word is all they have. And as a leader, when you sign that contract with a customer, or you sign that contract with that employee, or whatever that word, wherever that word takes you, your word is all you have. And so we'll do all we can to deliver, and then some, the promises that we have made. Very important. And I don't believe that there's too many things that would disrupt that. You go up and beyond, sometimes even if you have to lose money or spend a lot more time. Very important. Are we showcasing our wows? Is there anybody in here that knows Johnny the Bagger story? Not one. Very quickly, Johnny the Bagger. Johnny, this is a true story. Johnny, being a young boy, young man with Down syndrome, just so happens same as my John Michael. He worked at a checkout in a grocery store, in the grocery store chain, and the grocery store chain was looking at ways to enhance customer service. We're talking grocery store. This is a big deal. There's a lot of grocery stores, supermarkets out there vying for everybody's business. So they hired in a consultant. How can we deliver better guest experience, customer service in our checkout lanes, as they walk in through our doors, as they are experiencing their shopping? And after the consultant left, Johnny thought to himself, I'm just a bagger. What can I do? I listen, but what can I do? So he went home and he told his dad, I think I'm just going to share what's in my mind. So his dad said, yep, I think that's a great idea. So his dad typed out his thoughts and every day ran off a bunch of copies. And whatever that thought was, he had a bunch of them in his hand. And when a customer came through his line, he put his thought of the day into the bag and said, have a nice day. The customer got home and read Johnny's thought of the day. Remember, he's just a bagger. And all of a sudden it caught on. And people started to come back to the grocery store more often than they needed to. Maybe just for that one item that they may not have needed. And they went to Johnny's line. Even though there's other checkouts available, no, we'll stick with Johnny because we want to hear his thought of the day. He was building customer service and experience, and all they were doing was buying groceries. They were coming back more and more. And then it built from there. The florist department said, we're going to learn from Johnny. And if there was a flower that got broken, instead of throwing it away, they found a little girl or an older lady and in the store and said, here, have a good day. These are things that we all can learn from. It makes no difference what our title is, how insignificant we may feel we are. We are still dealing with customers that chose us. Johnny the Bagger, go ahead and Google it. Great story. You'll be able to see a nice slide presentation on Johnny the Bagger. You can learn a lot. Communications come in all forms: verbal, nonverbal, feedback, written, phone. A nonverbal, facility cleanliness. There should be no shockers. We're not all blessed with a Rosen Shingle Creek. We're not all blessed with a Rosen College of Hospitality Management. It's 10 years old, and every day when I have a visitor, I am excited to bring in a guest into our facility. It is a beautiful facility, but not everybody is blessed with that, and we understand that. Golf courses, private clubs, we all go through renovations. After my dad passed away, I was put on my mom's membership because a membership is 2 people. So now I'm a member of their club as well. Going through a major renovation. There's some places, in the clubhouse that it's like, oh, you just want to go there. Well, it's a renovation cycle. But for a customer coming to your place of business, regardless if you're in a renovation area, just an older building, that should have no bearing on the experience that the customer, the bowler, the patron, whatever the classification is, has on their experience inside. And when I say no shockers, when you have that conversation up front, let them know, hey, we're having renovations. Please pardon our progress. And say it up front. Then there's no shocker. The unacceptables, of course, trash laying around. You know, we try to keep a clean campus, and it's nice when we see a student pick up a piece of litter. Humans are humans, and they're going to litter. We don't like it. We don't understand it, but they do it. And we need to make sure that regardless of what human did, we need to make it better and right. Some of them are just unacceptables. The entrance. What's your entranceway look like? Again, if you're in an older facility, that's understandable. People aren't coming for your facility. They're coming for the experience. They're coming for the experience. And when they're gone from your facility, they're not going to talk about their bowling. Well, they might talk a little bit, not much. They're going to talk about the people. They're going to talk about the experience, the food, the beverage, the whole environment. Just like golfers and private clubs. Whether we have a good day or bad day on the golf course, we're going to talk about the experience that we had. Hangouts. We know that when there's groups of people that come out, there might be a group hanging out right in front, and we all know, it's kind of like uncomfortable, and it's very difficult to try to get people that are grouped away from the front entrance. But we all try to figure out how to keep them inside. Maybe they'll buy another drink or bowl another game or whatever it is. At Rosen College of Hospitality Management, we have, as you have seen in the entrance, it's the same gentleman that he donated $18 million for our campus, Mr. Rosen. When you walk through the doors of Rosen Shingo Creek, it says it's a no-smoking facility. Well, we have a non-smoking campus. There are colleagues of mine, there's staff, there's professors, there's administrators, there's students that smoke. So how do they get through the day without smoking? Well, they don't. But they had to be pushed off campus instead of, putting them on the backside. We were really trying to look at the rules, or not me, but the administrator saying, this is a non-smoking campus, period. So what do? They went right out to the Rosen College of Hospitality Management entranceway, and there they stood, smoking. It didn't look good. So, of course, then you have to readjust, because we know that rules are rules, but we also have to be concerned about our image and the perceptions. We had it right here at the Rosen College of Hospitality Management, smokers just standing out there hanging out. Okay, it didn't look good, and we don't want that in our facility, and most likely you wouldn't want that either. There's other nonverbal communications. Body language. How difficult is it to smile when you go into a facility and it makes no difference what it is? Let's say a non-hospitality facility, but they're providing some service. It's like sometimes they don't even greet you. They don't smile. How difficult is it? We need to talk to our employees and our staff about body language and posture. How do you carry yourself? Life isn't always good. Life isn't always good. But when you're at work, the best that you can do, try to put on a happy face. And it's difficult. It's difficult. We all have those stories, going through tough times. Listening skills. Listening to our customers. Listening to our members. Is there a theme? Is there a common complaint? Or on the flip side, is there something that people are really talking about? Sorry, that probably is mine. Thought I put it on silent. Listening skills is so important. And for the most part, I have very respectful students in the classroom. Very respectful. But I ask them, can you talk and listen at the same time? Not one of them have been able to say they've mastered it yet. And we need to learn from that. When our customers are talking to us, listen intently, listen to what they're saying. Is there a theme? We can learn so much about this. And we're not talking. Written communications and protocols, very important as well. How do we write emails? What does our email say? Is there a possibility we're going to read between the lines and read something that we didn't intend for them to read? It wasn't there, but it was the message that they thought was there. So when we're communicating with our staff or with our customers or in any type of publication, we need to be careful about our written communications. Biggest lesson that I have received in this in the last few years is when last fall I taught totally online. Oh my, what an education. I had to communicate totally online. So all of it was nonverbal. There was no verbal. I wasn't in front of my classes. I soon found out I had to put parameters. I had to let them know that I am not available 24 hours a day. And the expectation is X, Y, Z. And I really understood the importance of written communication and letting people know when I can get back to them in this time frame. Has anybody ever sent off an email and never heard back? Yes. Did the email get received? The first thing that Kelly said to me when I returned the phone call was, "Thank you so much for returning my email." I was like, yeah, okay. Why is that? It is a big deal. It is a big deal. Email communication, technology, sometimes they get in the way of person-to-person stuff. Telephone protocols in the club industry, I have no idea, as far as the bowling, I would guess it's the same because we're still dealing with people. But there's telephone protocols. I have many GMs that come to my class and they'll say, we tell everybody they've got to answer the phone with a smile on their face. They've got to do it. Because we all know we've made that phone call, hello, or whatever it is. No, we need to. This builds perception of our industry. We want our customers to know we've got good, happy, competent people that know what's going on in our business. Return phone call policy, as mentioned in the previous. With Cynthia, the previous seminar. What is our policy? Is it 24 hours? Is it the same day? When you get a message, or your staff gets a message, or an employee gets a message, yes, we need to respond as quick as possible. That's good customer service. We're dealing with people. They are so grateful. It's like we're that one step closer to getting them as a business. Because they know that we're going to be taken care of. And follow-ups, the same thing. Verbal, dealing with our staff members, our employees. We know that when we're dealing with people and they're dealing with people and we're delivering experiences, there's going to be feedback. And there should be. We should be training them and having them learn every day. We certainly embrace the positive feedbacks, and I don't think there's enough of them out there. But the timing of the negative feedbacks that we need to overcome some challenges that maybe we saw, witnessed, faced, it's very important that we do it with great timing and credibility. I was part of the private club industry for quite some time as an employee. But for some reason I avoided serving tables. I bartended, I did a lot of stuff, but I didn't serve tables. So if I would jump ship out of education and go back into the private club industry, I probably wouldn't be the ideal person to talk to somebody about how they served this guest or the client, because I don't have any credibility. I don't have any credibility. And so it's important us as leaders, when we're delivering whatever the feedback is, that there is credibility. It's going to be received so much more than if you just put somebody in there like, yeah, Yep. We want credibility with our people, and that's what we need to hire. Social media, just mentioning, I do not have a Facebook. I'm probably one of the last ones. Is there anybody here that doesn't have a Facebook? Oh, good. I'm in good company then, at least for now. Facebook. And I know social media, that's the direction everybody's going now. I have been accused of being a voyeur because I will log on to some of my friends' accounts and see what my colleagues and everybody else is up to. Facebook is so important, I realize. That's what the next generation, that's what the future is. We can get our message out worldwide with Twitter and everything else in between. But one thing that I have felt as a voyeur, and I have listened to CEOs of major corporations talk about, when they have gotten involved with Twitter and Facebook, the one thing that the message is clear: once you start it, keep posting. Because what happens when you stop seeing posts? What's going on with them? And it's very important to remember that perceptions are realities for our customers. And so if we're going along, we've got Facebook postings and we have Twitter postings, and all of a sudden there's a drop-off, what are we going to think? Well, they have nothing good to say, so they're going to not say anything at all. Then that leads into a lot of negativity about the business. Social media, I think it's great. Businesses are succeeding with it. But we have to realize the perceptions of it. And once we start it, I believe we need to keep going with it. Being happy, another standard of mine, and I think it's important when you go through to a corporation. Are people happy? If I walk into one of your bowling centers, does it look like you have happy employees? And we don't have to happy face all the time, but we know when somebody's genuinely happy. And of course life gets in the way, and we understand that as humans as well. And when I've gone through my struggles, and heaven knows I've been through my struggles myself, sometimes you just can't hide it. And I let my students know, listen, my mom was just diagnosed with breast cancer, my sister-in-law was just diagnosed with breast cancer within 4 weeks of one another. We're going through a lot here. I might be receiving a phone call. Whatever it is, sometimes you just can't hide it. But if they get to know you, understand that this is just one of those things that life gets in the way. It's not a habitual thing. That's fine. But being happy, having happy employees, they'll help deliver happy service, and the customers will receive, I think, the experience that you're hoping for. Of course, probably shouldn't go without saying, since we're right in Disney's backyard, we have to mention Disney, in that we need to think like an entertainment company. We are delivering an experience. We are delivering an experience regardless of why they came to our facility, whether it be just for dinner, for a drink, for some type of social, for the amenities, or possibly for the bowling. Same way with the private club industry. We need to entertain them. Not constantly, but we need to provide that service. The question is, can our people deliver incredible experiences if they are unhappy or distracted? Probably not. Probably not. Yes, we're going to be tired some days. We're going to have those distractions, but boy, it's going to be difficult to turn that hat around as soon as we come to work and cast off and do a good job. Life gets in the way at times. But that's when your team helps around you and say, hey, I'll take it. Studies show the more team that you have in your workplace, the less absenteeism and the less tardiness. Because you don't want to let your team down. You don't want to let your leader down. The leaders don't want the staff to be let down. We have to build that team, build that fun. I'm going to bypass that. The acoustics were not good. There was a short video. If you want to see that video, it's an incredible 2-minute video. It's on the Mayport Ferry. It's in Jacksonville. And there was a video of gentleman that he took pride in his job, and all of his job consisted of, if he didn't go to that extra mile, was to get the vehicles on the ferry in line and transport them less than a mile on the other side. But the experience that he created with his ferry goers, incredible, incredible. Kind of like Johnny the Bagger. He's just a bagger. And this guy's just a ferry guy. Look at that video. It's a really neat video.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah, his name is B.J. Hart, H-A-R-T, B.J. Hart. But there's a lot of videos out there. Some of the big organizations have taken a documentary on B.J. and have done a really nice job with some of the video. But the stuff that he performed, getting people, excited about taking that ferry, and it's just an incredible experience. Another standard: being visible. You as a leader, are you out there with your customers, the big groups? In the private club industry, if the members of the private club don't see the senior leadership or the general manager, that general manager is not going to be there much longer. They need to be a people person. They need to be out there with the members. Because, see, they can go play golf anywhere. They can go have a nice steak dinner anywhere, play tennis, go to a spa. They chose to be a member of that club because of the people, because of the experience. And the expectation is that the senior leadership and the general manager and everybody else in between is going to be there. So one thing that in the private club industry that they do, the general manager is typically the doorman. On a big event, when he's going to see a lot of the members, he's there greeting everybody. He's opening the door. He's putting himself or herself in front of everybody as they come in, greeting them, saying hello. It's a lot easier when you see somebody face to face and go, hey, do you have a minute later? Instead of making that effort to go track them down. They're there. They're convenient. Be there. Be available. In my classrooms, I'm always there early, and I do have back-to-back classes, so on one of the classes I can't stay late, but I want to be available when the students are going to be there. Not when the students are going to be there, no. I want it to be convenient for them. It's important. Building a team, we mentioned that. Inspections. In the club industry, and I'm not sure how you handle your business, I wanted to share in the club industry and the golf industry what happens. They do inspections daily. Inspections of the property. They go out to the cart barn daily. They go into the tennis area. They ride a golf cart around the golf course. Not a bad scene. Get a little fresh air. They go in the kitchen when it's in operation, not when it's closed up. They go everywhere every day, and they time it so that just as they're passing by, saying hello to their staff, their employees, if there's any conversation that needs to occur, it's so convenient, and it's a little bit, it's just more comfortable. And that's what the club industry, the general managers across the country talk about. Very important. Doing their inspections, but also getting in front of their staff, because their staff is what's going to make the members stay and want to be a member of their club. Are you 100% mentally, emotionally present when you're at work? Are your people? And when I was going through joined the LPGA in 1987. I was really working on my game, and I don't know if I would have ever made it out on the tour. I did give myself enough opportunity to do so. I wanted to stay in education instead. But I worked with a sports psychologist, and when I was into coaching, I also worked with a sports psychologist for my athletes. And they talk about that 24-hour cycle that we have. We have 24 hours in a day, and everybody has 24, and that's it. And in that 24-hour cycle, we break our day up. And if we're at work 10 hours, are we emotionally and mentally there for those 10 hours? And when we seek that balance with our family or friends or personal time, are we 100% focused in on that balance? And if we can get this ingrained in our people, that when they're at work, don't be talking on the phone. Don't be texting your people. This is one thing in the classroom, it's tough. They want to text. They think that's multitasking. I disagree. But the bottom line is to stress that if we're 100% focused at the task at hand, we're probably going to be more productive. We're going to be happier of a job well accomplished. We're going to enjoy our free time more because we're not going to be thinking about work because we're supposed to be focused 100% on our free time and our balance. And you just never know who you're going to touch when you're at work and you're present. You just never know. I had a student was sharing a couple different situations throughout the semester, and we were talking about golf events and creating an event and how the event fizzled out a little bit. And she came up and she said her cousin was in one of the towers of 9/11, and they tried to do a golf event for years and years, and just through some of the talks in the classroom, she realized why it wasn't going to continue on, but they decided then to move the event to a race event rather than a golf event in her cousin's honor. But it was throughout that semester that she realized how touched she was when I started to open up about my experiences, somebody else's experiences were opened up, and then it was amazing the learning that took place. Understanding your business as the last one, and I'm looking at my clock, making sure I know you've had a long day and you still have a wonderful evening ahead of you, either free time or commitments. So I'll try to get through this as quick as possible. Understanding your business. You know, you're the owner. You're the manager, you're the leader, you're the senior leader. You know your business. Do your employees really know? Or are they there just for the paycheck? Why are you in business? In the private club industry, we have to tell the students, if they want to go into the industry, it's all about the members. If you don't have members, you don't have a membership club. You don't have a private club anymore. It turns semi-private or public. Who are your competitors? Just as Cynthia was saying, maybe coming for bowling. Do a combination bowling and food and beverage. You want to have your customers or your members stay on site as much as possible. Have them come, even if they're not coming for bowling. They're coming for food and beverage. They're coming for the other amenities that you have going on. I was a league member when I was in Iowa. It was a great way to get through the winter. Every week we went bowling as a group, the staff, the faculty. Had a great time. We drank. We bowled. We went back again and again and again. And I think the owners of the facility really enjoyed us. We spent a lot of money. And we had a good time. We knew why we chose them. Hopefully the workers knew why we chose them. But who are the competitors? The private club industry? Any golf course, any restaurant, any spa. The fastest growing sector in the private club industry is the spa industry. You start seeing spas being housed in nice resorts like this. Well, the club industry, they want their members to stay on site. They want to deliver the spa experience. We need to know why members have chosen us. We want to keep them on property. As looking at the profit margin, what can we do to increase our revenue when we look at the business side? But when we look at the customer side, how can we keep them here on site longer? And what would entice a customer to go elsewhere? And that can be devastating for a business. Are you delivering the experiences? And when we walk away today, my guess is you've heard all of this. It's just a different angle to come in at it. And what are other industries doing? How are we measuring it? In the club industry, in the golf industry, we look at benchmarks. We look at what happened last year at this time. We look month to month. But we have to also make sure that our records are accurate. In the golf industry, we're coming into the rainy season, as you probably have experienced a little bit since you've been in Orlando. And last year at this time, if it was a dry season, maybe our numbers were up. This year, they're down because of the rain. You know, how are we measuring it? Are we looking at patterns, trends? Are we keeping, good record of our statistics? Most likely, when push comes to shove and we're comparing apples to apples, it's probably how we're doing is based on the experiences or the services that were offered. We need to capitalize on what works and fix that doesn't work and minimize anything in between. In the golf industry, no one's going to be perfect on a perfect round of golf. There's still going to be a little flub-ups every once in a while. We just want to minimize our error. We're dealing with humans, staff members, dealing with customers. They're humans. But the stronger the relationship that we build from the very first connection to the time they leave, the stronger it is when those little snafus happen. We can recover easily from it. And are they accurate? So what's your business model? Are they league members? Are there dailies, groups, corporate outings, amenities? Where are you lacking? Where would you like to build from? Understanding why members become members. Ask them. Ask your present day members, why they're members. Or if you don't want to directly ask them, listen to them. Listen to them. In the golf industry, why would somebody spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 as initiation fees when you can come play a golf course like this? And you don't have any maintenance fees. You just go play the golf course and go home. You're not owning it. So the private club industry has had to figure this out as well, keeping the members that we have. And then mixing it with the dailies. We've got the members, but we also have the daily golfers. In the bowling, you've got the league members, and then you've got the dailies. And what does the league member get as far as experience or value that the dailies don't? And in today's world, I think everybody wants to be treated as a VIP. So if everybody wants to be treated as a VIP and they're going to go where they're treated as a VIP, then why would they join a league? And the private club industry has to figure that out just like every other industry. So comparing the private club industry, by definition, we have yacht clubs, we have country clubs, we have city clubs, we have athletic clubs, we have golf clubs. Recession. Do we have a new normal? The club industry and the private club industry and the golf industry, there may be a new normal out there. It's going to take a long time to recover from what happened in 2007 and 2008. There was a recession impact. The private clubs had to go to semi-private so they wouldn't close the door. They needed revenue coming in because it was a discretionary income purchase of theirs to be a member. Well, when the recession hit, a lot of people said, I can't justify this anymore. I've got to give up my membership. But yet I can go play golf somewhere else, and I don't have all these fees. And so it was really a hardship, but the private club members started to see, going semi-private, wait a minute, why are we still spending all this money when they're letting everybody else come through the doors? What are we getting? And it's a balancing act. And so when you look at your business, what value have you attached to your membership? There's a club down south, and the GM comes up every year, and he talks about how his food and beverage operation loses $3 million every year. $3 million! Most of us probably wouldn't have a job if we lost $1,000 or $500. There's industries, the banking industry, if you're out of balance by 10 cents, you're probably not going to be employed because there's compliance. In this situation, every year, he said $3 million. They pride themselves on the experience. They leave no expense behind. They know they'll make it up in other aspects of their club. Now, we know that that's an extreme. but they still can do it. He was just up in April and handpicked a few of my students to work in their manager and training program. 3 million loss, and it was all about satisfaction and retention of members, period. And that's what we have to look at. Value. Did we receive it? Did we come to this convention and was there value? We hope there is. There was. When you walk away, yeah, that was a great trip to Orlando. Did we receive it? Can we experience the same without it? Can we go somewhere else? Can we go play golf somewhere else without being a member of a club? Is our focus really on golf or on bowling? No, it's probably more on the experience, getting our families together and our friends and going out and having a good time. But they will compare us to that next experience. But members want consistency. They want consistency in staff. In the private club industry, private club senior leadership, they do all they can to retain the employees because members want the same people serving them, making the experience. It becomes a family every day in, day out. So we have to remember that our members, our bowling members, I was a member of the league at least for 3 years, came back over and over again. I remember seeing the same faces. That added to it. They knew us. They knew we were coming. They knew what we liked to drink, what we liked to eat, how long we were going to stay. They knew it was creating a story, and I think that's important. So what do our customers want? Everybody has to answer this themselves. Value, efficiency, security, fun. Is it a safe place to come with a family? After the 9/11 attacks, there was two sectors of the private club industry that did very well. The high end and the family-based memberships. Everybody in between, it was difficult there for a long time. Why? Because of security. It was a safe place to go. We all can take ourselves back to that time. Weren't sure where we should go, get on a plane or whatever it may be. Is it fun? Value. Was it money well spent? Again, why are members members? Ask them, survey them, listen to them. They'll tell you. What possibly are they asking for that you don't have? The latest trend in the golf industry, in the private club industry, is bocce. Has anybody played bocce in here? Yeah. I admit it, I play. It's like a lawn bowling. Very inexpensive to build. It's a sport that so many people of any age can play. But it's an amenity that they didn't have to go elsewhere to get. They just put it somewhere in this little section of the club. They didn't have it. Most clubs are starting to get it. You want them to stay on property. Having that pizza night. Having those donuts in the morning. Let's get the morning crowd going. Put out some donuts. The club I was talking about, they budget $80,000 for donuts and bagels a year. $80,000. Well, they got them in and they go, hey, I didn't know you served breakfast. Yeah. But see, that lured them in. Lured them into the club and kept them on property. Very important. Who are your members? Are there age differences? Families, kids, what are the gaps? Demographics. Are they compatible? In the club industry, the old traditional style of the club industry, suit and tie when you come into dining, no jeans, no hats, no hats. Well, now you've got the younger crowd that they like to wear their jeans. And there's a lot of private clubs here, even in Orlando, platinum level clubs, that have had to change their attire policy because they were losing the young people because they couldn't wear jeans. Can you believe that? It boiled down to jeans. There is a difference in the generations, and we have to be aware of it. So as your league members, as your older members, are they wanting to come in and see the young people's behaviors? How can we mix and match and have everybody happy? It's difficult, it's challenging, but when you figure it out, it's very well worth it. I do a generation exercise. And if we were a long workshop today, we would do it here. But this is really fun. I do it every semester. And I have my young people, we break the generations into 4. The matures, you know, the 70s and 80-year-olds, and then we've got the baby boomers and the Gen X and the Gen Ys. And I ask them on an individual basis, say, describe, you know, they write down, describe what you think of the, you know, the behaviors of the 70 and 80-year-olds, and then of the baby boomers and of the Gen X's and then of themselves. And then we get together as a group and we start putting it on the board. And when we talk about the older people's tradition, one career family, and frugal, and whatever else it is, no technology or little technology, and we go down to the baby boomers, whatever. And then we have all of this on the board, and we start looking at members, accepting members, and their backgrounds, and how staff, the best thing that organizations can do is get an older worker and a younger worker together and explain that you're both going to learn from one another. Because that older generation is going to learn about the younger generation and how to serve them. How do they tick? I learn every day when I go to class, this generation. Every day. It's a learning experience. But I've gotten to understand it a little bit better, and I think understanding it is all we need. The hats, we're still struggling with. The younger generation still wants to keep that baseball cap on. That's a no-no. It should be a no-no when you walk into any facility. But in the private club industry, it is what it is. You are only as good as the team you have in place. And I share that with my young people all the time, and a message here today. The team that you have in place, that's as good as you're going to be. Because it's people serving people. What are their talents? Some people are better with building relationships, and some people are better just, they're kind of like a computer. And I use the comparison a lot with the private club industry and a Ritz-Carlton or a Rosen Shingle Creek. The Ritz-Carlton, the best of the best. Shingle Creek, the best of the best. And every day a new customer comes in and you just deliver wowing experience. And some people are really good at that, and some people are just better at building the relationship. Not that they're not good at the service, but building relationships and understanding people. Also knowing body clocks. Body clocks. I used to be one that I used to like to sleep in, and now I'm up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And we know that that's a possibility when we age. But when we are looking at people and serving people, are we having them open or close or somewhere in between? We don't want to use it as a cop-out, because the younger person, many of them want to take the later shift because they're night owls. We don't want them to avoid having to open up. But we want to make sure that we have the people that are going to be there without reservation. They will be there when we need them, and they will not have excuses in the evening as well. Body clocks are big. Some people just aren't morning people. And some people, by the time they're 7 o'clock at night, they're done for the day. And a person's makeup is very, very important on that. And so if you have a little bit of wiggle room, I would suggest you thinking about that. Because I do a golf tournament every year. It benefits the Arnold Palmer Children's Kidney Center here in Orlando. And we have about 20 college students that meet me at 6 a.m. And I know that people would think, now Jill, you are crazy. You're going to recruit college students 6 a.m.? They're there. They haven't let me down yet. September will be my 8th year doing it. I share with them, do not volunteer unless you know you're going to show up. I really don't care if you've stayed up all night. And sometimes that triggers them. But I want them there at 6 o'clock, and I want their minds on the task at hand. And when the general manager of Bay Hill or Interlochen or Isleworth come through the gate and they see those college students there at 6 o'clock, they know it's going to be a good tournament. Because the volunteers are there, because the volunteers are people, and we're serving people. We're benefiting the hospital, but it's all about the experience. Body clock is important. Selection versus hiring. When you're in a hiring phase, select your people. Don't just hire them. Select them. Select them for what you believe your standard is for your business that's going to help delivering experiences. Hire hospitality. Hire attitude. We know in the club industry, and I would think any industry, but speaking from the club industry, it's difficult to train attitude. It really is. You can train a skill. You can train a skill. It's difficult to train attitudes. And so if you've got two people, boy, I'd hire a attitude in a second, without question. And the red flags during the hiring process, the selection process: free golf, free bowling, free drinks, free food afterwards, whatever. To be careful. That should be a red flag for your people that are doing the hiring. I know in the golf industry, many times over they'll say, when so-and-so came in and they wanted to know if they got free golf, as soon as they left, so did the resume. Went right to the trash. We need to earn loyalty in business. We got to have people in place. Mentioned this already, so I'm going to move ahead. We got about 15 minutes. I don't want to keep you that long. Hang in there. League members, those are our constants. Just like in the private club industry, they're our constants. But they're going to compare. They will compare from year to year or month to month. They'll know what's happening. You know, they'll know the struggles. So we have to be careful with who we put in place and keep the standards going, and regardless of the challenges that we're being faced, that we keep up the service and the experience, because otherwise they're going to leave us. They're going to go somewhere else. Members' relations with staff, very important. And I believe professionalism versus casual. This is a struggle with the young people. They're a very casual group. And in the private club industry, you do get to know your members. And when Mr. and Mrs. Jones comes in for a year, they'll say, you know, just call us John and Sally, please. That's fine on the side. But when Mr. and Mrs. Jones comes in as a group, it's Mr. and Mrs. Jones. It's not John and Sally. There has to be a professional level. People want it. Members want it. If they pull them aside and say, just call me Jill, that's fine. In a public, no, it's got to go back to the doctor or whatever it is. And this is something that you have to stress to the young people. Very much so. We're in the hospitality industry, a little bit more casual in the education side. Try to remain very, very professional because we can get a little loose with casualness. Jobs and personalities, very quickly. Think about the security guards. Think about the police officers. We just had a visitor up on campus was talking about security guards at their high-end yacht club in South Florida. He says, boy, we need more service training with our security guards because we don't want to put fear into our customers. When you start seeing security guards and they're like, they're just tense. We know that we want them to be alert, but we don't want them to create fear. And so there's a lot of movement right now about security personnel getting service training. A few years ago, our College of Hospitality Management hooked up with the College of Medicine at UCF. We're training doctors for better service. How many times have we gone to the doctor and there's been no bedside manner? Yeah, of course we want the good doctor. But it'd sure be nice to have a little bedside manner as well. We're going to try to have that mix with this new generation of doctors. Same way with security and other industries out there. There seems to be personalities that come along with it. Again, some are better with others, and just as a repeat. How can we do it better? Are we current? Learning every day. What went good? What went bad? It was just one of those things that just wasn't our day. And humans are humans, but when you're dealing with league members, they're going to look aside. They're going to go, that's not Jill. She's just off today. She's just having a bad day. And that's not going to affect the bottom line at all. And so that's what we want, that continuous, good, positive vibes, because the more we do for people, there's going to be mistakes. And finally, looking at different models out there. The Starbucks model, coffee's coffee. But Starbucks figured it out. They're delivering coffee in a value luxury, as a value luxury item. Incredible what Starbucks has done. And of course they shifted off gears a little bit, but they're back on track. But it's coffee. So we can do that with golf, we can do that with bowling. We are enhancing the experience. What can we do? What do other industries do? Wawa. That's just come to the state. The Wawa. I had no idea Wawas have been in business for 50 years. Has there anybody here that knows what I'm talking about, Wawas? Maybe you're from a state that has them. It's like an experience going into a gas station. I mean, it's bright, it's got big lanes, it's a cheerful environment. The problem is I migrate towards it and I go for the food. I don't need gas, I just want to go to Wawa. There's just one down the street, it's too close to campus. Wawa, what are they doing? They're pumping gas. No, they're providing experience. The food that they provide in Wawas, when you go buy one, go in there. Flying J, I'm an RVer. In fact, I stuck around just for this convention. I'm headed out on a 6,000-mile trip. Now, don't get me wrong. Flying J's are not like Rosen Shingle Creek. I understand that. However, for an RVer, Flying J's across the country know I'm coming. They have big parking lanes. They allow you overnight. They have security. They have gas lanes that are designated just for RVers when you're pulling. I'm longer than a semi-truck when I've got my tow car on. And why not put lanes in there for RVers? Flying J's. I've already got my trip mapped, at least to Iowa. I know the 2 Flying J's that I'm going to stay at. I know. It's crazy. We're at Rosen Shingle Creek, a beautiful resort as it is, and I'm going to be staying in 2 truck stops on my way to Iowa, and I'm going to love it. They know I'm coming. Disney Cruise Lines. Disney. You know, Disney is Disney. But the story is that, at least that I've heard, is that Disney decided to get in the cruise business because, you know, they've got all these theme parks. They want their customers to stay with Disney. So let's go start a cruise line. And so then now the cruise lines are affiliated with some of the big resorts. You'll see the big Disney cruise line buses here, and then they'll end up going over to the parks. They're expanding their business. You can do the same thing. What can you continue to offer? The 2 for 20s. I'm a sucker. I'll go into the 2 for 20s. I never walk out with a $20 expense bill. I walk out with a lot more. I thought it was just a promotion, how many years ago? It's working. It's working. People are coming in and they're looking for the value, but then some. Host an event. Maybe your organization, your facility, you can host a local event mentioning the local tourism bureau, the Chamber of Commerce. Get people on your site so they can meet your staff. Create the experience for them. That's all it takes. If you've got the right people in place, you've got it made. They're going to come back and they're going to do business. And it does not matter what your facility looks like. They're doing business because they trust you. You're delivering an experience. Bowl with a pro. I don't know if you have where your staff, if they're good bowlers, get them out with the customers. I did this with golf events. I played 3 or 4 holes with a big group. So I'd go 3 or 4 holes with this group, and then I'd join another group, and I'd join another group, and I just gave them pointers along the way. They loved it. I did that for 3 years just on the side. There's a lot of different things that you can do. So in conclusion, and I know we're running out of time. We've got about 8 minutes, and we're not going to take that long. This is all about building workplace culture, setting standards. What's the image that you want to cast? Over and over again. Learn from other industries. What do people do in other industries? If I can come up with the Flying J truck stops and learn what they do, we can create that learning experience wherever we go. Learn from your personal experiences when you go out for dinner. when you go to another bowling center, when you go to the Disneys, when you go to the grocery store. You know, what was your experience like? Can we do it? Can we do it better? And then some. Most importantly, though, this is why I was so humbled to be asked to be a part of the Bowl Expo. It's because of John Michael in the middle, his friend Jacob. They've grown up together. I diverted, it was over 800 miles in my RV. I was on a big trip and speaking at a couple different conventions with my research. And I went and surprised them last fall at Special Olympics. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for what you do for Special Olympics and for the special needs population, because it's so important. It's the experience. It does not matter if it is delayed. It's you're opening the doors to all populations, and it's the service that you provide is just incredible. So keep doing that. I know when you have somebody in your family that has a special need, it truly is a blessing, and to see the joy that you give. So that's what I'm talking about. It's the experience. So thank you. And that is it. You survived.